Well, welcome. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Suzanne, foot guru reflexology, and we're going to be talking about foot reflexes. So, foot reflexes can be really helpful, particularly for our neurodiverse children, in supporting their balance, coordination, and just supporting a calm nervous system. So, Suzanne, would you like to share a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Yeah, thanks. And you?
Good, good. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so we're going to talk about reflexes today. As far as who I am, I'm Suzanne. I'm a registered Canadian reflexology therapist with the Reflexology Association of Canada. And I started my journey in foot reflexology about 9 years ago now, when I was looking for a career change and I wanted to help people literally use my hands to create and help people heal. And a little birdie, which was another massage therapist, mentioned to me, "Hey, you should look into reflexology." I always have clients asking for their feet to be touched, and I really never thought about that at all. Honestly, my first reaction was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to touch people's feet. That's okay." But the more I dove into it and realized how healing it can be, how our entire body is represented via the feet, and so that we can access the whole body, the mind, the body, the spirit, through our feet, and how amazing that is. And so I sort of dove in. And at the time, my husband was actually dealing with a cancer diagnosis. So it was a perfect time to jump into natural healing and the ways that we can support the body that's obviously very non-invasive and very natural and doesn't cause any negative side effects. So that's sort of how I found myself becoming a reflexologist. But of course, working with women and children were my focus when I got into seeing clients in home, just because I love working with those two groups of people, just really connecting with them and helping them help their own children too. So I'm excited to share with you today some reflexes that can be really awesome to use with your children and with yourself too.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to it. And
Mhm.
if you happen to live in Winnipeg, book
Yes.
Suzanne if you can, because she is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in Winnipeg now. We just did a big move about just over a year ago. We were in Vancouver, very close to you, so used to love
I
seeing you
miss
in
you.
person and and of course working with your little kiddos too when we did baby reflexology together. So that was awesome. At your studio actually. That's back when you had your yoga studio. So that was really awesome. But yes, I'm in Winnipeg now and I am seeing some people in home as well. So if anyone's in the area, they can find me.
There we go. Okay, so shall we dive into the foot reflexes?
Yes, because you actually had some really interesting things to share with me from a different perspective.
Yeah, so back in 2011, I started working with primitive reflex integration.
Mhm.
And so those are the basic reflexes that we're born with. So, like when the doctor does the tap on the knee for children to
Yeah.
see if the reflex has been integrated or not. So there's 12 sort of basic ones, and then there's many more. And these are all part of how we naturally sort of develop between the ages of being in utero, really, and about 4. So by about 4, most of these should be fully integrated, but they're often not. And we see very often in neurodiverse children, uh, many are not integrated.
Mm.
And so it's not that I'm not a fixer. I don't believe that there's anything to fix or that there's anything wrong. However, when we're able to support um, more full integration of these reflexes, it really helps with coordination, gross motor skills, um, balance, a calm nervous system, and many more things like reading, writing, etc. So it's quite interesting, and it can be done through play, which, as you know,
Mhm.
in my cranio and fascial work, I think it's really important to be able to reach children in a way that is meaningful to them.
Of
So
course.
that's
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm going
that's
to. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that's so interesting because Yes, I also have a neurodiverse child, and I do find with certain things she's not behind in them, but like you were saying, it takes longer for maybe some of these reflexes to develop in
Mhm.
them. And so it's really interesting to hear that maybe that can be delayed in some children. But of course, by working on things a little bit more intently, we can help bring that up to speed.
Yeah.
And I find that with the same with my daughter, definitely. Definitely when we work like intentionally on things with her, she does end up getting them. It just takes a little bit longer. And like you said, play is so important because it really brings down that stress response from the nervous system so that they're able to want to learn, you know?
So we're going to dive into the plantar reflex first. So I'm going to use my feet as a demo. Suzanne has a beautiful foot that she'll use, but
I
I'm going to use
do. Not my foot. This is Tootsie, we call her. She's a good model, but your feet are going to be even better because they're real.
oh, thank you,
You go
Suzanne.
for
All
it.
right, so the plantar reflex is right here, sort of under the big toe. So what we're looking for is we're going to push into this point here. And Suzanne's going to explain it from her perspective later too. So what we're looking for is there are their toes curling? Of course, there's going to be a bit of a natural curl when we touch here, but are the toes completely curling in? So if they're curling in like this, the reflex is not integrated. So my reflex, as you can see, is integrated. Thank goodness. And then the second one that we're going to look at is the Babinski. So here we're going to go from the outer edge of the heel up to the pinky, or the mound just below the pinky. So again, we'd notice a curling or a twitching if it was not integrated. So for me, you didn't see it was integrated, which is again good.
Mhm.
And this is really important because if we're getting that curling, it's connected to the whole stability of the body. Like Suzanne was saying, our feet are a map for our entire body. So if
Mhm.
we don't have a strong foundation, just like a house, how can we build further up with integrity? And so for babies, typically this is integrated when they're crawling, right? They do their little push up thing, right? They're
Mhm.
like plank in yoga.
Mhm.
So they start with that at around 6 months. And then they get into crawling mode. So they're curling their toes to help push them as they're crawling. If that's not happening, we often see that this does not become integrated, which then plays into that standing ability to walk, run, and coordinate all of the movements, right? So it stems from that foundation. So that's why this is important.
And it makes me think about, I mean, I've seen with some neurodivergent children, mainly autistic, where they run or walk on their toes
Yes.
instead of the full foot. And I'm thinking that
Yeah.
must be connected to what you're saying.
Yes. I was a toe walker as a child.
Okay.
Or a toe runner. I think
Yeah.
so. I think part of that was speed, that
Hmm.
ADHD part, but also sensitivities in the feet. So that was
Right.
something that my mom actually really worked on with me. And you'll
Yes.
see, you know, those shoes that are squeaky in the heel?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
That's what they're designed to do to help get the child to, out of enjoyment of hearing the squeak, stepping onto the full foot. So to
Right.
help integrate that. Yeah.
And from a
So,
reflexology perspective, I'll just say, so when we're not walking on the full foot, so naturally when we are activating the entire body from the head, the chest, the abdominal area down to the pelvis. And so if we're only walking on the top here, we're only really activating the reflexes in the chest and the head, brain, which can become um, tight over time, increase inflammation in that area over time. And then we're not getting the natural reflexology down in the abdominal. So when we're walking, we're getting a lot of good activation of the digestive system. And so if we're not walking on the full foot, we're not actually getting that natural digestion, that natural lymphatic movement, which coincidentally, a lot of children who are neurodiverse have troubles with their digestion. So it is really important, like you're saying, to have that whole foot, as well as too, when we're not placing the whole foot on the ground, we're not getting that proper stretch of the back line of the body. Like you're
Yes.
saying, the Achilles in the back, and then the whole back line of the body, which, relates to our fascia, which goes all the
Mhm.
way up to the back of our head. So we're not releasing that, yes, to there. We're
Yeah.
not releasing that in the same way. So as you mentioned,
Yeah.
yeah, we're really not getting the full effects on the body, just walking naturally does, the way that it's all integrated.
Totally. And sort of tagging on to that point, there's the grounding or that earthing piece,
Hmm.
which is so
Hmm.
important because I find so many neurodiverse children um, struggle being fully in their body
Yes,
and being
yeah.
fully present for one reason or another. So we see a lot of either hyper, so
Hmm.
too aware of their interoceptive, their internal sensitivities and external sensitivities, or hypo, completely unaware. And I do sometimes see it go back and forth. So again, that grounding piece is really important. And then as you're speaking about that back fascial line, I
Hmm.
also often see in my craniosacral practice, so I do the
Yeah.
craniosacral and clinical counseling separately, but I often see a lot of tightness through the back body. And
Yeah.
typically they'll sit at the hips or the low back, the sacrum area. And that again can be due to sitting because we do have, unfortunately, a fairly sedentary lifestyle. But again, it can also be connected to how we're moving even when we are up and walking. So
Totally.
it's so fascinating how it's all tied together.
It's all tied together. And as you were
Yeah.
saying, with those reflexes coming from more of a medical standpoint, doctors checking those reflexes as like those guidelines for, hitting those certain markers.
Mhm.
Whereas reflexology is not necessarily coming from a medical perspective. It's more of an energetic and more Chinese medicine, uh,
Mhm.
more of that Eastern way of looking at things, of integrating the entire body, and of course, um, removing any blockages that are in energy or meridian lines.
Mhm.
So I wanted to mention those reflexes you were actually working. So yours was up a little bit higher. You said it was at the base of the big toe.
Yeah.
So that one does connect right into, I often work right in the center, like just below the ball of the foot. You'll find there's like a very soft, sort of almost button in the middle there. And that's still sort of part of the same area, which is our diaphragm reflex. So that is an actual really great reflex for anyone to work on their own feet or their child's foot to actually calm them, because it does get them to take a deep breath, to breathe deeper, and to calm the entire nervous system. So that one is
That's
really
one that
great for
I've
that.
always used. Sorry, that's one that I've always used on my eldest since he showed me, like back when she was, I
Yes.
feel like 8 months.
I call it the sleep button, right?
Yeah.
Because it's really great. It's really great for sleep as well, right? Because it just kind of like downgrades the entire nervous system. And it's really great if you do that on both feet at the same time, like holding and pressing right in the middle there. And then that other reflex you were talking about, the Babinski one, is sort of the outer edge of the body from the pelvis up the side of the body to the shoulder. So all the way up the side. And as you mentioned, how that relates into probably balance and posture and our inner ear and just the fascial lines and everything that you're talking about, sort of um, making sure that we are properly in our body, but centered as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In alignment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, to go back to the diaphragm reflex, I remember when you showed me, just because this is one of my favorites, but
Hmm.
noticing the child's breath when you're doing it and like
Yeah.
gently, like very gently pushing in. Is it with the inhale?
It's as they're doing the out breath. So they
Okay.
breathe in, and then you press
Right.
with both fingers, and it's kind of like as they breathe out, it's just like almost a hug,
Yeah.
like it's a calming hug. And even if people want to try it on themselves, I mean, if you just do it once, you'll feel it instantly. It's very, very calming for the body. As I mentioned, it's kind of like a little button right in that spot, but it really connects into our breathing, our solar plexus, and just calming, like right in the center of the body there. Another
Mhm.
one I wanted to show today is actually the other side of the body, more of the midline of the body and the spine. And I wanted to show that reflex because it's one that I work because all of the nerves in our entire body, go back to the spine, all the way down. So I
Mhm.
like to work the spinal reflexes because as we do, we're kind of calming the entire nervous system from the head all the way down to the tailbone. And so it's a really great one for any pain, if you are in your or your child has any pain, or as we're talking about calming nervous system regulation. And you'll find that actually on the inner edge of the foot, starting up at the bend of the big toe. And on the side, you'll feel there's kind of like a bone there that you can follow all the way down. And I follow that all the way down. Yeah, maybe you can try on your foot while we're doing this. Tell me if you can feel that bone ridge
Mhm.
there. And so it kind of arches, like it goes from here and it arches up a little bit and then down. And you can rub along that. I like to do what's called finger walking, where I'm pressing and moving, pressing and moving, pressing and moving, because it activates basically the vertebrae as we work our way down. You can also do it back up. Again, follow that bone ridge back up. And I do this one a lot. This is a great one to do if you just have one reflex to do. Just hit
Mhm.
up the spinal reflexes because you can slide on it as well, like slide with your thumb all the way up and down. And it's just a great one to kind of tie everything in together and just calm all the way down the spine and back up. And I'm sure as I'm thinking about it, that probably relates a lot into your craniosacral work as well.
Totally. Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love, as you know, how like we both enjoy how everything is so integrated. And I think
Yeah.
it's really cool because it really allows you to look at the whole being from a very holistic perspective. And through
Yeah.
that, there's various access points to support someone, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's not fixing it, but or there's nothing to be fixed, but just to really be able to support them so they can function optimally for themselves.
Totally.
And then, so one last little tip for the integration of like the palmar or sorry, plantar, excuse me, or the Babinski is something I do in yoga called toga. So
Mm.
I basically throw a bag of pom poms up in the air and we go around, we pick them up with our toes. And my girls love this. Um, you can wash them after, just get the little laundry bags and throw them in the laundry. But it's a really fun activity. It really gets all of the muscles in the feet activated. So we're having to use our full foot.
Right.
And it's also a really grounding exercise. So that's a fun one, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And I was going to say, and when you're picking them up with your toes too, in the toes, we have our brain reflex. So you're really like activating that as well. And, brain central control system kind of, is affecting everything. So I can see that too really helps to just kind of get your girls focused and
Totally.
activate those brain reflexes. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun one for kids. Is
Hmm.
there anything else you would like to share before we sign off, Suzanne?
I feel like that's great. I feel like those two reflexes from my perspective, that one in the center and then the one along the spinal reflexes, are really just two um, amazing reflexes to use at any point whenever you need a little bit of like calming in the middle of the day or especially before bed, especially with kids before bed is really great. Just helps them sleep better. And as you said, the more you work with the feet and the more they get used to having them touched,
Mhm.
the more they start to enjoy it. So don't give up if in the beginning your child's a little bit like, oh, I don't like that, or it shouldn't really tickle, but they might feel a little bit, weird about it. But it's just a reaction and a response, and just work gently. And
Mhm.
it feels amazing. So don't give up on it.
Thank you. And thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, no,
Um, well, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say thank you for having me. And I love doing this and hearing about what you're doing and what I'm doing with our clients. So,
Totally.
mhm.
And we'll leave some notes below. So take a peek to see where you can join us for a little bit more and see you next time.